You answer your phone, you say hello, and nothing comes back. 3 seconds of dead air, then a click. You assume it was a wrong number or a dropped call. You put your phone down and move on. You just failed a test. And you probably do not know it. That silence is not a glitch. It is not a confused telemarketer on the other end fumbling with their headset. It is a sophisticated automated system running a live audit of your phone number, and your response just told it exactly what it needed to know. Within seconds of you saying hello, your number gets flagged, logged, and in many cases sold. The scam call you will remember is not this one. It is the one coming next week or next month from someone who already knows you pick up. Most people brush off the silent call entirely. It barely registers. And that is precisely why it works. Because the most effective first step in a fraud operation is the one the target does not recognize as a first step at all. This is a $1.23 trillion global fraud industry, and it runs on operational infrastructure that is more systematic, more automated, and more data-driven than most legitimate businesses. To understand what those 3 seconds actually are, you need to understand the machine behind them. Scam call operations do not work the way most people imagine. One person at a desk dialing numbers and hoping for the best. That model is, hopelessly inefficient. What modern fraud operations run instead is called a predictive dialer. It is the same technology used by legitimate large-scale call centers, insurance companies, political campaigns, debt collectors, to maximize the number of live conversations their agents have per hour. Here is how it works. The system dials thousands of numbers simultaneously. Most of those calls hit voicemail, disconnected numbers, or go unanswered. The predictive dialer filters all of that out automatically. The moment a human voice is detected on the other end, specifically the acoustic pattern of a person saying hello, the system flags that number as live and routes the call to a waiting human agent. The 3 seconds of silence you experience is the handoff delay. The system has detected you. It is now connecting a scammer to your call. What you handed them by saying hello is more valuable than you might think. You did not just confirm your number is active, you confirmed that a real responsive human being answers unknown calls. In the economics of phone fraud, that distinction matters enormously. Numbers attached to people who pick up and engage are worth significantly more than numbers that go to voicemail. They get prioritized for follow-up. They get sold at a premium to other fraud operations. Your single hello can trigger a cascade of contact across multiple scam networks that you will be dealing with for months. Now, here is where this gets darker and where the business angle becomes impossible to ignore. The 3-second silent call used to be the end of the interaction. The system logged your number as live and you moved on. That is no longer what is happening. Security researchers have documented that modern predictive dialers are not just detecting your voice, they are recording it. And with as little as 3 seconds of clear audio, current AI voice cloning tools can generate a convincing synthetic replica of your voice. What that means in practice is that your hello, the 2 syllables you said before realizing nobody was there, is potentially the seed material for an impersonation attack on your family members, your bank, or any system that uses voice authentication. The fraud pipeline this enables is chilling in its efficiency. A silent call captures your voice sample. Weeks later, someone calls your elderly parent claiming to be you in distress, asking for an emergency wire transfer. The voice sounds exactly right. The urgency feels real. There is no phishing link to click, no suspicious email to second guess, just a voice that sounds like someone they love saying something has gone terribly wrong. And the fraud succeeds because the groundwork was laid in a phone interaction you barely registered. This is not theoretical. The FTC and FBI have both issued warnings about AI-assisted voice cloning scams, and reported losses from impersonation fraud have been climbing sharply. The technology to do this at scale is not expensive, not rare, and not limited to sophisticated criminal organizations. It is commercially available. Before we go further, if understanding how technology is being weaponized against consumers and businesses, and what you can actually do about it, is what you come here for, subscribe now. We cover this every week. So, what does the defense actually look like, and why do most people get it wrong? The instinctive response to picking up a silent call is to say hello again, louder, to ask if anyone is there, to wait a few more seconds before hanging up. Every one of those responses is exactly what the system is designed to elicit. Each additional word you speak gives the voice cloning system more material to work with. Each second you stay on the line tells the predictive dialer that you are not just live, but patient and engaged, exactly the profile that gets passed to the most aggressive human scammers in the queue. The correct response is the counterintuitive one. If you pick up an unknown call and hear silence, say nothing and hang up immediately. Do not say goodbye. Do not say you are going to hang up. Do not ask who is calling. Hang up. The system requires your voice to confirm you are a productive target. Silence on your end is the one input the algorithm cannot use. Better still, let unknown numbers go to voicemail entirely. Legitimate callers leave messages. Predictive dialers and scam operations almost never do, because leaving a message does not serve the system's purpose, which is to engage a live human in real time. If your phone allows you to silence calls from numbers not in your contacts, that single setting removes the vast majority of your exposure to this attack vector. There is also a regulatory dimension worth understanding, because it explains why individual behavior matters more than most people expect. The FTC's telemarketing sales rule technically limits the percentage of calls that can be abandoned, meaning calls where the system connects but no agent is available, and requires a recorded message when that happens. Scam operations simply ignore it. The FCC has pushed carriers to implement STIR/SHAKEN, a call authentication protocol designed to verify that a caller's ID matches their actual number, but spoofing technology has kept pace with those countermeasures. The honest assessment is that regulatory and carrier-level defenses reduce the volume of scam calls but do not come close to eliminating them. The gap between the rules that exist and the enforcement that happens is wide enough that an entire criminal industry operates comfortably inside it, which means the burden of defense falls back on the individual and on understanding the system well enough to deny it what it needs. There is a broader point here that goes beyond personal protection, and it is one worth sitting with. The fraud industry has professionalized in ways that most people have not internalized. The operation behind a silent call is not improvised crime. It is a business, one with infrastructure, automation, data pipelines, quality control, and customer acquisition economics. Predictive dialers represent a capital investment. Voice cloning tools require ongoing software licensing. Verified number lists are bought and sold in organized markets on the dark web with pricing tiers based on the quality of the data. A list of confirmed live numbers belonging to people over 65 commands a higher price than a list of unverified mobile numbers because the conversion rate is higher. The people running these operations are thinking in terms of cost per acquisition, conversion rates, and customer lifetime value, exactly the same metrics any legitimate direct response business tracks. The scale of the industry reflects this professionalization. Americans alone receive an estimated 4 to 5 billion robocalls per month. Global fraud losses tied to phone-based scams exceeded $1 trillion in 2023, according to the Global Anti-Scam Alliance. That is not the output of disorganized criminal opportunism. That is the output of a scaled, optimized, data-driven industry, one that reinvests its margins into better tooling, better targeting, and better scripts the same way a legitimate SaaS company would. And the industry is adapting faster than the defenses against it. The same AI capabilities that are reshaping legitimate business, natural language generation, real-time voice synthesis, behavioral pattern recognition, are being adopted by fraud operations to make their outreach more convincing, more personalized, and harder to identify as automated. The scam call of 2026 is not a robotic voice reading a script. It is increasingly an AI-generated voice that adjusts its tone in real time based on your responses, that knows your name, your bank, and possibly your recent transaction history from a data breach you were never told about. The gap between a convincing fraud call and a legitimate one is closing, And the silent call, that 3-second test, is still the front door of the whole operation. Understanding that framing changes how you think about defense. You are not trying to outwit a random criminal. You are trying to make yourself economically unproductive as a target. Every time you say nothing and hang up, you are producing a data point that lowers your number's value in their system. Every time you let an unknown call go to voicemail, you are refusing to enter their conversion funnel. The goal is not to be unreachable, it is to be unprofitable, and the numbers that are unprofitable get deprioritized. That is how the economics of fraud work, the same way they work in any business built on volume. Make yourself expensive to target and the system moves on to easier inputs. Thanks for watching. If this changed how you think about the fraud industry and what an effective defense actually looks like, subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.